Hey, welcome back to Through Evangelist's Eyes. Hey, today is kind of special for me in this video. And I'm not even sure which one of these titles I want to call this. I first wrote down the power of Elijah. The power of Elijah. And then as I've been prepping and going over the verse, I found myself saying, maybe the title should be, You Shall Be Silent. You shall be silent. And we're in Luke chapter 1, verses 17 through 20. And the angel is talking to Zacharias, and he's telling him that his son, John the Baptist, will go before Jesus, go before the Messiah in the power of Elijah. And so as I thought about that, what was the power of Elijah? It was incredible miracles Elijah did, one after another, it seemed like. But his greatest, as I'm thinking, I'm going, wait, Elijah's greatest power was his faith. It was all, the power was in his faith. Whether he raised the dead or whether he provided for the widow, it was in his faith. Whether he took on Baal and all the prophets, it was his faith. And I wonder, here in Luke, Zacharias is told he's going to be silent. And I brought an example. If I'm silent, doesn't go very well, right? With the gospel message. Silence is not part of the gospel message. Proclaiming Christ is part of our message. And where I wanted to go with this is over 15 years ago, maybe 17. It was 2000, right around 2008, 2009. I stood on this corner with a sign very similar to this. And whether you say, hey, why do people make such a big deal about Christmas, about when the Lord was born? You know, whether he was born in December or in January or in July, the issue is he was born. And in my family, we didn't go to church. We didn't know much about the man Jesus, but we knew Christmas and we knew Easter. And when God drew me to himself, he used that knowledge to get my attention. Well, when my pastor passed and went to heaven, I came to the streets. God stirred me to come to the streets and to the neighborhoods. I stood on this corner over 15 years ago, and I remember vividly coming and being so excited about holding this sign, holding a sign that celebrated what God had done in my life. The start of the salvation story was back in the garden even, but for me it came at Christmas. I understood that this man, this child that was born was important. But check this out. As I stood at this very corner and I raised a sign that my wife made for me, it was bigger, and to tell you the truth, I think it was more beautiful than this one. I raised that sign up, and I thought the intersection would light up with people honking and people shouting out Merry Christmas. You know what happened? Right here, when I raised this sign, there was nothing but silence. And I remember looking at people, looking them in the eye and saying, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? I'm thinking this, what's wrong? I walked that intersection 11 laps. I did 11 laps around this intersection. Hey, before somebody honked. And matter of fact, it was a cowboy on that corner. He was in a truck and he honked, looked me right in the eye and said, "Merry Christmas." But it took 11 laps. You know, I hope, like Zacchaeus, I hope we're not silenced. I hope we're not, and as believers, I hope we're not putting this around the Word of God and being quiet about it. The message, the salvation message is very personal, but it's not private. Jesus said to love others like you love yourself, like we love ourselves. So I hope that God gets a hold of your heart and mind and gives me what I need to proclaim the message of Christ, that He has come into the world to save sinners. God bless you, and I hope you're not silent this Christmas and until the day you step into heaven. God bless you, and here we go.